Alright, I'm working on a 2-liter TSI engine in a 2012 GTI, and I just want to go over a couple how to diagnose a cold start misfire. There's only two real reasons these do this. This engine does this. These are the ones I found. It's either you have a fuel injector that's leaking down, or you have carbon deposits on your intake valves. A leaking down fuel injector, it'll kind of act the same way. It'll be a misfire on one cylinder on cold startup, and then it'll clear up, and then it'll start running smooth after running for a minute or two. Carbon deposits on the intake valves act the same way. They may run a little bit longer before they smooth out, but it'll also be the same thing. A misfire, cold start, and then it'll smooth out. Go to the back of the car. If it smells like raw fuel, more likely you have an injector that's stuck, that's streaming. And if you suspect that but you're not sure, then pull the spark plugs out, put the key in the ignition, and then see if you can see kind of the top of the piston. If you see one of the cylinders is getting full of gas, you'll actually see on top of the piston a puddle of fuel. There's another sign you have an injector problem. But if you suspect your intake valves are coked up, I'm gonna go through one way that you can kind of get a look at them. It's the only way I've found to do it without pulling your intake manifold off. You can get here to this intake temperature sensor right underneath your purge valve, and just pull that right out, just that one T30 Torx screw. With that out, you can see it's a pretty straight shot through your intake, down the runners into your cylinder head. I have a cheap little borescope here. It's a Harbor Freight borescope. Works fine. They have some on Amazon that plug into your cell phone. That's a great choice too. Just something with a small camera and lighted. It needs to have a light on it. And you can fish that right down into there. Hopefully I can show you. I'll set this up. And there you go. You can see you can push it down there until you see the stem of the valve. It's not showing up too good on this. And you can get a rough idea of how bad your carbon deposits are like that. So if your car has a cold start misfire, or it's just not even setting misfire faults, but just across the board, it's just running rough on cold startup, smooths out after it runs for a minute, that's probably what's going on. If it continues to run rough, you want to check other things. Check your ignition, do a compression test, make sure your oil separator diaphragm's not torn, the other 2-liter problems. But if the car runs perfect when it has a little bit of heat in it, cold start, runs bad, do this. If you can't get it, it's not too hard to get the intake manifold off of these, and they're very problematic, and they've come down in price a lot. If you don't have the updated intake manifold while you're cleaning the valves, it's probably a good idea to switch to the new style intake manifold anyways. It's worth doing. These have a high failure rate. I replace them all the time. So order an intake manifold, go in there, clean the valves, and your car will be better off anyway, and they'll probably take care of your problem. So thank you.